Howdy again everyone. I am a fan of 400mm camera lenses. As I've often said, I think that's the minimum focal length you should be going for serious bird and wildlife photography. Also, I'm a big fan of telephoto lenses that are not too big or heavy, so I'm going to be working pretty hard today to be subjective and to find things to criticize about the new Nikon Z 400mm f4.5 VRS. Well, I suppose I could start with its rather huge asking price of $3,250 Ouch! But then again, if this thing turns out to be something special, then it could be worth it. It is only available for Nikon Z mount mirrorless cameras, and I'd like to thank Nikon UK very much for loaning me this lens for a couple of weeks for testing, although as usual, this is a totally independent review. Imagine a full-frame camera lens with a really nice, long telephoto reach with a decently bright maximum aperture with excellent image stabilization, yet which weighs only a little over a kilogram or just over 2.5 pounds and isn't very bulky. Well, you've just imagined one fun lens, both for wildlife and sports photographers. I tested this lens alongside the older Sigma 500mm f4 sports lens, which is gigantic and weighs approaching 3 times as much, and, well, you can easily guess which one I was reaching for again and again. I can't tell you if this Nikon lens is going to be one with your name on it, but I loved using it out in the field. As I say, this lens's image stabilization is excellent. Here's some footage with it turned off and now turned on. As you can see, the difference is like night and day, greatly adding to the lens's capability as a hand-holdable optic. Let's continue to look at its build quality. The lens's body is mostly made of plastic in an obvious strategy to keep down its weight, and its optics have been specially designed to have as many of its glass elements as possible at the rear of the lens, where they can be smaller and lighter. This is the strategy most lens manufacturers have been going for the past 4 years, which has been brought about by improvements in manufacturing technology. The lens mount is of course made of metal, and it has a generous weather-sealing gasket. The rear glass element is recessed enough that Nikon's teleconverters can be used with this lens, although I didn't have the chance to try them out this time. On the side, you have extra function buttons and a few relatively simple controls for focusing, as well as a focus memory preset that can be useful for some wildlife photographers in capturing fleeting moments. The lens's metallic tripod mount is solidly designed, locking tightly in place, yet still turning nice and smoothly if required. Then comes the rubberized focus ring, which also turns very smoothly and works responsively with the lens's focus motor. The lens displays just a small amount of focus breathing here, zooming in just a little bit as you focus more closely. It's something you'll never notice in real-world shooting. The lens's autofocus is quick, silent and accurate, even on my older Nikon Z7, so this is clearly a lens that's ready for a little sports photography if your camera can keep up. In front of the focus ring comes a customizable control ring with a distinctive rough texture to it. It can be used to control aperture, ISO levels, or exposure compensation. I like that it comes towards the front of the lens where it can't easily be turned accidentally. The lens's filter thread size is a large, but not ridiculous, 95mm wide, and there are plenty of front filters available in that size, although they will be expensive for you. It comes with a decently sized and quite well made plastic lens hood with a locking mechanism to it. Overall, I absolutely loved the build quality of this lens. It is relatively lightweight, without feeling flimsy, and its autofocus and image stabilization worked fantastically well. It's just so easy to carry around with you, yet its maximum aperture of f4.5 is bright enough for some really striking images. And talking about images, let's look at its image quality. I'm testing the lens on a Nikon Z7 camera with its 45MP sensor, and in-camera corrections are turned on. Picture quality in the middle is totally awesome. Perfect sharpness and contrast even on a very demanding 45MP sensor. And over in the corners, picture quality continues to be totally, well, you get the idea. Always nice when a camera lens performs perfectly at its widest aperture. The lens remains perfectly sharp from corner to corner as you stop down to f11. Stop down as far as f16, and diffraction causes a little softening. But overall, well, it's 10 out of 10 here. You can't get any better than this. Stupendous image quality. Alright, let's turn off those in-camera corrections and take a look at distortion and vignetting. The lens projects just a touch of pincushion distortion here. At f4.5, a little vignetting is visible, albeit not much at all. Stop down to f5.6 or f8 for it to go away. Next, let's take a look at close-up image quality. The lens can focus down to 2.5 meters, not especially close, but just enough for pictures of small birds and other more diminutive subjects. The good news is that even at f4.5, close-up image quality remains just as sharp as ever, and the lens is still showing plenty of contrast. Nice. Let's see now how well the lens works against bright light. It's a very good performance here too. Nikon's excellent coatings are ensuring that flaring is kept to a minimum, although unsurprisingly, the lens doesn't appreciate bright lights being right smack in the middle of your images. Now, let's take a look at the quality of this lens's bokeh, and at the maximum aperture of f4.5, there's quite a lot of it to be seen here. As usual, on a high-quality super telephoto lens, there are no issues here at all, with out-of-focus backgrounds and foregrounds looking really lovely and soft. The only noticeable issue is some cat's eye bokeh balls in the image corners when shooting at f4.5. Overall, well, the Nikon Z 400mm f4.5 largely justifies its rather huge price tag with a clean sweep of absolutely excellent image quality combined with an enjoyably portable, lightweight design, and I just love it actually. Its biggest competition, somewhat ironically, is probably Nikon's own Z 100-400mm f4.5 to 5.6 zoom lens. I haven't tested that one out yet, but that thing has a nice zoom range and costs considerably less money. I reckon most people will go for this zoom lens actually for those reasons, but the zoom lens is noticeably heavier than this little beauty and doesn't have such a bright maximum aperture. I think wildlife and sports photography purists will go for this wonderful 400mm f4.5 lens, and everyone else for the 100-400. Personally, while I really love zoom lenses, well, I'm kind of in love with this 400mm prime lens, and so for those with the money to afford it, i.e. not me, it certainly comes highly recommended. So, what you doing? Are you going to move on now and watch another YouTube video that's algorithmed its way into your life? Before you do, take a look in the description and check out my Patreon page. If you find these reviews helpful, then that's a great way to support this channel. Plus, I put all kinds of extra bonus content on there exclusively for supporters to say thank you. Ciao, everyone.